Right. So in our last little picture I drew, well, where do we think we are? And I redrew it. So these are slightly different. And it's just fictitious at this point. We're just trying to play and have something to talk about. So here it looks like I'm probably least satisfied with my social life, right? And maybe if you think about it, very dissatisfied to very satisfied, maybe our goal is to be very satisfied on all of these things, but we can't necessarily do that at day one. So maybe we might focus on something like this. We might focus on, I want to be, very satisfied this year in my family life, and I want to be very satisfied in my spiritual life. Oops. I don't know what that is. Huh. All right. So anyways, give me a warning, but let me try to get out off of this and get out of that for a second.
Just got it. If you just say got it, it'll take you down.
Yeah, but I couldn't do that with a drawing tool.
Oh.
And so let's see. So there, and then I want this to be all I can be this year. I want this to be all I can be this year. I want my social life to be all I can be this year. And if I do that, then I can get, I'm pretty happy with this thing. Maybe my goal is to get started on the physical stuff and also look for something different. But notice I'm not just picking one thing. I'm picking a number of different things. I'm picking what's important to me, right? And so now if I were to connect these dots, then I would have something that looked like this. And I think as Patricia pointed out in her metaphor, was you're in for a bumpy ride unless you get this all rounded out in a way that makes sense, right? So, but I'm getting more rounded out. I don't have to be perfect. I think that I picked what was most important to me this year, and next year things may shift a little bit. I may give up a little bit of my personal time and focus on professional life and that kind of thing. But this at least puts me in charge of my growth, right? All right, so now I'm gonna turn over to you guys, and then Patricia, you tell me where to go from here. And I think that's the points I wanted to make.
What about Anne? What things did you see about this, Anne, that really talk about personal growth and our commitment to it? What did you see about what we said so far, and how this slide starts to help us see that? What were the things that came to you?
I think for me, and only using me as an example,
yes.
I can get so narrow-minded by focusing on one area that it gets to the point of being obsessive sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then other things in my life fall by the wayside. And then I have to go back and I have to do damage control, and before I can even start the growth process. So having something visual for me helps me to better understand where I am with what Craig did, with the red section, and then where I want to change and where I want to grow, and without having something else fall back to the one, because now I'm disgusted with something because I let something fall by the wayside. Now I've got to start right from the beginning again. So this is very beneficial to me because I can look at all aspects of my life, and in order to stay balanced, I have to have decent numbers on this chart in order for me to feel very comfortable with where I am.
And something, Patricia, something Anne said, and I think it was your interaction. There's people out there that want us to have a balanced life in the way they want us to have a balanced life. For example, maybe our spouse wants us to have all family, right? And maybe professional and financial may be the most important things to them, right? Or maybe at work, maybe they don't care about the rest of the stuff. They just want you to have the balanced professional work. They want you to be all out work, and all the other stuff, spiritual may not be a part of it at all. And your mental health and physical and stuff like that, maybe, the absolute negative side of that, your mental and physical health will it doesn't matter because we can burn you up and get someone else to replace you, that
Right.
kind of thing. So you have to be really mindful of all the pressures going on in life. Now, that's not an example of where we should be professional, as a leader, as a manager, as a person in charge. We should want everybody to have a balanced life because that means that is better for them, it's better for us, and that's really what we should be striving for as a company. That should be the hallmark of capitalism, to have everybody have a balanced life along with the balanced work.
Right. And I think that is one of the key things for corporate America and leaders is we sometimes work people to death. It's 48 hours, 95 hours this, and people want to keep their job because they've got a family. So they're torn between the structure of the company or the commitments of the company and their own looking at their own lifestyle or the desires in their family. As a matter of fact, corporate America needs to do more of this kind of training, which is more what I call personal growth training to help people see themselves. It would save on, just like you're saying, physical health, because it would cut our expenses. If people are happy and they're feeling good and they're feeling balanced, it would save money. Number two, it would help with the retaining of good employees in our company. And because every time we hire somebody, it's very expensive to do that and to bring them on board. And number three, it would help with workforce balancing because we would learn more about the capability of individuals, because this life wheel begins to show us that. But we would learn more about the capability of individuals, and it's not just a fixed capability in one job or one department. We could help them move around to where they feel satisfied in the company, and they're going to be more productive. They're going to be more happy. They're going to be better quality. Do you see the value of this for not only us as human beings, but also for corporate America? And I think that's one of the reasons I say that it's very important that we spend more time on personal growth in
Right.
corporate America, not just saying this is how leaders do. We tell everybody what it means, but experience. Look at those animals and what are you feeling? Look at those pictures or what are you feeling instead of us telling them. So okay, that's
All right,
enough.
so I'm gonna play a game with you guys now. I'm gonna
Okay.
draw a picture of a person. You tell me what their effects on society. Financially, they're way down here. Professionally, they're not anywhere near where they want to be. Socially, they have some friends, they have a social life up here. Their physical health is they spend a lot of time on. Their mental health, they don't think about. Their family life is having a problem, and there's no spiritual life. So if I were to draw that picture of that person, what's that effect on society? And then I'm going to give you another extreme. What does that tell you about that person?
Financial professional. Well, they're dissatisfied. To me, someone like that is very dissatisfied with pieces that I find are very important that need to make them a well-rounded person. So they have less of a willingness to go out and help other people. They're probably depressed. They probably have an attitude of woe is me.
It sounds like a gang, right? A gang member. They have
Okay.
social and they're
A
gang.
victim mentality, a victim
Physical.
mentality.
Yeah, it could be. All right, so now they take another extreme. What if this guy is way over here financially? Just he's got everything going for him. See if I can do that. Everything going for him. Not really interested in the country or the his community. His spiritual life doesn't exist. I'm showing just extremes, right?
Yeah.
And then the family life, maybe he's got so much over in work that his family life is way down here. And then his physical life, well, maybe he's working so hard and financial, maybe his physical life is hurting. But he's got a great social life because, he goes outside and plays with his friends, as far as at work. And, so maybe this is what that person's life looks like. So tell me if you can tell me mental health, he thinks he's doing really good. And physical health, where's that? Down here. And then socially goes out drinking a lot. And so he thinks he's good there. So that person is the exact opposite of this person almost, right?
Mhm.
But now, what does that tell you about that person? That could be a CEO somewhere, right?
All CEOs aren't happy just because they're making a lot of money. And I think that just looking at that, I don't know what the words are, but I would call it they may feel empty and they're finding their fullness or their meaningfulness as self in things outside of themselves, in the social drinking, in the money, we're making a lot of money, I'm working all these hours. I had a client right here in Tennessee, and I think I shared this one time. He was on the road, he was in sales and on the road all the time. He got let go from the company, and 3 months later, still hadn't found a job. And very a sales professional, very good at what he did. He came back to me one day and he said, Patricia, I have been out there, I've been making great money. I've been on the road all the time. I've got 3 boys that I almost forgot about their life. And he said, I'm not going back to that same job. And he was out socializing, just like you're saying. And he said, I didn't even realize how empty I felt till it wasn't there anymore. It is like I woke up. And it's almost like what you drew here. He woke up, and that's what's happened a lot of times. I think people are asleep until we do something like this, and they have to look at themselves and say, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me.
Yep. And it's kind of like, to me, if you have your financial strength and professional power and social power, but you're lacking the desire to help other people and, something bigger than you and your family, the loving relationships and maybe even physical, then that can make you a problem for society. Same as someone who is really hurting and struggling financially and with their professional and the spiritual side, and they have but they have great physical strength. That these are where problems in society seem like they may come from.
You remind me, and then Ann, I'll be quiet because I want to hear your comments because I love what you say. But I remember the president, when I was at Cummins, the president of Cummins at that time talked to Yale, a Yale graduating class. And he said, he was the CEO of Cummins Engine Company. And he said, let me tell you something. The world will eat you up and take away all your freedoms and all your knowing of who you are unless you stand up and do it. He said, I take 2 vacations every year. Cummins doesn't exist on those 2 vacations. He said, the first one is my buddies, we go fishing in Canada. Number 2, I take a week with my family. And he said, let me remind you now, as you go out into the world, it doesn't matter if you're in corporate America or whatever you're doing, you can easily get swallowed by the society and the culture that you allow yourself to be part of. How true, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I just noticed something as you were drawing, both of those. If you take everything is one-sided, they have a whole side of the sphere that is missing in their life. It's just different
Interesting.
sides.
Good point.
And, we may fall under those things at certain times. And if we're not aware, then we don't even realize what we have to do in order to get better balance in our life. And that's why, to me, I think this is a wonderful tool. I think everyone should, in a corporation, should be able to sit down and use this to chart where they believe they are at this point in time and how they can do something different, even if it's changing just one of these at a time. It's like, oh my gosh, or we'll take the CEO guy, his family life or his spiritual life is even worse. So if he wanted to help that out, what can he do to bring that up to at least neutral for now and
Mhm.
start opening up that horrible looking setup that he's got going on.
Yeah.
Same
It,
thing with the guys with the gang guy that you were talking about, the depressive people. There are things you can do to help your financial situation. There are things you can do to help your profession and your work environment. A lot of it is mental. You got
yeah.
to start with a mental attitude.
And it all begins with us.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or you're a gang victim or you're a gang person. It all begins in that center circle. It
Yeah.
all begins with us looking at ourselves and being willing to admit, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
Personal growth begins with us.
Yeah.
And a choice, doesn't it, Greg?
I think so. I think a lot of times our circles may stay symmetrical, but be pulled toward the center. It's kind of entropy of life, It's deterioration unless you put work into it.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think I used to say that we go to work, we come home, we go to work, we come home, we go to work, we come home, and 10 years pass.
Mhm.
That's accurate.
I mean, it
Been
just seems,
been there, done it.
yes, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I want to live every moment. If I go for a walk right now, I think this is probably true for everybody, but anybody, audience, anybody, you can do this. Go for a walk and just look at the trees. I mean, there's ways that we can free ourselves up that doesn't cost money and get to know who we are.
Yep.
Simple things, simple. But it takes a commitment, a growth mindset commitment. I want to be more, I want to balance my life out more. And like you said, Craig, it is a choice.
Well, that's all I have to offer. So how about Patricia, you and Ann bring us to a close for today, unless you have something else you'd like to talk about. So Patricia, why don't you close this out today and let Ann give a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds what she wants to talk about, and then we'll just meet again on the next podcast.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like to challenge anyone out there who is willing to do this. Shut your cell phone off for one day. Don't do social media. Don't answer your phone. Don't do anything. You're going to see how difficult that is in this instant world that we live in. But it gives you time to do some of the soul searching and the mindfulness that you need to do in order to create a better life for yourself and more balance in it. So do it once. I've done it for a whole weekend, and the first few hours were like crazy. I wanted to go back and check my phone, but I left it off for a whole weekend, and now I do it more often. So give it a shot. It's difficult when you first start doing it, but it gets easier like anything else.
Right. I really thank all of you for listening, and I hope whoever you are out there, that this touches your life in some way to give you a better vision of who you are and who you want to be, and because we all can have better and choose better. I think the whole thing is, it's simply, as Ann and Craig have been saying, take the moments that you have. 2020 was frustrating and disruptive. Oops.
No, go ahead. We're good.
Oh,
I just took it off. the screen.
2020 was disruptive and challenged us as individuals. We had to stop and look at ourselves and begin to understand that there is something we can do different. We started using our creativity. We stepped outside the box that we normally live in. We didn't have as much of a fixed mindset about this is all there is. So God bless all of you out there. Happy Easter. And may the next journey, next steps in your journey, be very exciting. Thank you for listening to us here at Change Mentors.
Thank you.